Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph, 4 lines from the top at the 2 dots. Omer Mar B'Sar, the Torah says on the 8th day, Yimol B'Sar Losoi Apol Pishesha Beheres Yimol. Even though there's a nega there, and it's also to cut the nega that tzaraz, the Mila is Deicha the tzaraz. Dear Rav Yoshi. That's what Rav Yoshi says. Why do we need a pasuk to the Davar Shein Miskaven? He's not intending to cut off the tzaras, he's intending to do the mitzvah of Milah. The Davar Shein Miskaven is muter. So why do we need the pasuk to tell me that you do the Milah? The Davar Shein Miskaven is muter. Amar Abaye lo nisrach el Rav Yehuda, Davar Shein Miskaven also. It's going according to Rabbi Yehuda that tells me that Davar Shein Miskaven is also, so I need the pasuk to teach me that the Milah is Deicha the Tzaras. The Rashi brings a raya from here. You see that Rabbi Yehuda holds B'Shari Surim that Davar Shein Miskaven is also Midoraisa. Since I need a pasuk to be matter cutting off the Tzaras, even though that's not his intention, it shows me that without the pasuk, it would be also midaraisa. Also, it says by Shabbos, where it's melech machshavas also Torah Davar Shein Miskaven, even according to Rabbi Yehuda's the Rabbona. But B'Shari Surim, it's a deraisa. So that's what Abaye says. It's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rava Amar Afilotein Rabbi Shimon. You can even say it's going to Rabbi Shimon. Maida Rabbi Shimon Psik Reish V'Lo. It's inevitable. Psik Reish V'Lo. He's Maida that where it's inevitable, we can't differentiate and separate. We can't separate his intention and say that the Maisa and the intent is not one and the same. He cut off the head of a chicken, he's not going to die. Here also, it's a psik ratio, you're going to cut off the tzaras. So, Maida Shimon that it's also. Practically more of Abaye Lesle High Svara, doesn't Abaye agree with that? Abaye, Rav Damrat Habayu, Maida Shimon psik ratio la yomos. That Abaye himself says that Rav Shimon is Maida by psik ratio. My answer is he adopted this position after he heard from Rava, then he was Maida, he accepted it. But initially he said it's only going to Rav Yehuda, but Lamaskane he accepted what Rava said, and this Rasha is according to Rav Shimon as well. Some learners going on the following. It says, be very careful with the neged saras, lishmer ma'oid v'lasais. So what does that mean? Lasais, you can't cut off the neged saras, meaning intentionally cut it off. But you could remove it unintentionally. Let's say a person has a nega, has a tzaras on his foot, and he wraps around it, the palm bast around it. So, and then it comes off, it removes the nega inadvertently. Or he puts a pole on his shoulder. If he has a nega on his shoulder, he's carrying a pole, he's carrying something on his shoulder, and it rubs against it and removes the tzaras. And it comes off, So he can do it in that way. It's removing the tzaras. So it's only lasos, but not unintentionally. What do I need a pasuk for? No Davar Shein Miskaven. Who? It's a Davar Shein Miskaven. So why do I need a pasuk for them? Amar Abaye lo nisrach el Rav Yehuda. The pasuk is only telling me according to Rav Yehuda, Davar Shein Miskaven also. So it's coming to teach me that it's a Davar Shein Miskaven, but it's also I need a special pasuk to tell me that in this way, in this manner, that it's muter. The Rava Amar Afilotein Rabbi Shimon. You can even say according to Rabbi Shimon, Moed Rabbi Shimon psik reish v'lo yomas. Shimon's Moed psik reish v'lo yomas. Abaye lesle hasvara. Doesn't Abaye agree to that? Abaye the Rava Damrat Abaye himself said then Moed Rabbi Shimon psik reish v'lo yomas. It says in Chanami labasu d'shama merava savram. Then in Chanami, after he heard it from Rava, he adopted it. So the Rishonim asks a question: if the isser of removing the tzaras is only if he does it intentionally, only if he does it in a direct way and intentionally rather, then if he's doing it with a pole on his shoulder or with a sieve shal gabi ragloi, there's no isser, then why do I need a special limud of Besara to teach me that the mitzvah of Milah is doiche the tzaras? Why do I need a special limud for that? That Milah is doiche tzaras. Why isn't that should be mutter regardless? There should be no isser. Just like carrying the pole, there's no isser, because his intention is to carry the pole and not to remove the tzaras, even though it's a psik reisha. So the same thing by cutting off the tzaras, his intention is to do the mitzvah milah. Why do I need a special limud of basar to teach me that it's mutter? The Rashba answers, these cases over here are only cases where there's a groma, where he's not directly removing the tzaras, but in the case of milah, where he's cutting it off, he's actually cutting it off, I wouldn't learn out from here that it would be mutter. That would be considered la'asais. La'asais, when he said that it's not considered la'asais, it's when he's doing a different act. He's not cutting off the tzaras, he's carrying a pole, he's carrying a load, then it comes off, even though it's a psik reisha, it comes off memela. That's a groma. But to cut it off actively, I wouldn't know that it's not mutter from here. I need a special pasuk from Besar to teach me it's mutter. There's a diyon in the Achronim, the Chassam Sefer has a diyon under Achronim that if it's a psik reisha, should it really be considered a groma? Is that considered a groma? But the Rashba seems to be holding that since he's not actively cutting it off, he's engaged in a different act, even though it's a psik reisha, that's not called la'asais. Milah, it would be la'asais. I need a special limud of Besar to teach me it's mutter. V'abaya alibid Rav Shimon hay Besar my avidle. In the Havamina of Abaya that he held that it's only going according to Rav Yehuda, it's not going according to Rav Shimon, because according to Rav Shimon it would be mutter regardless, because it's a Dovid Shein Maskava, and even though it's psik reisha, what would he have done with the pasuk Besar? In a case where he says he's intending to do it, he says he wants to cut off the beharis, he wants to do the milah, but he wants to cut off the beharis as well. Teinach gadol, that's fine in the case of a gadol, that he's saying he's doing it for that purpose. Katan ma'ikal meimar. What about the cotton? The cotton doesn't have intent. Amar Sharsha ba'imar aviyah ben lokos beharis b'dunai. Who comes chavan when the father is saying that that's his intent in cutting off the beharis of the child, or doing the meal of the child. He also wants to cut off the beharis. But if there's somebody else, then why would we allow the father to do it? Let the other person do it, and not the father, and not be doiche this of cutting the beharis. The Omer of Shimon ben Lakish, Kol Makam Shata Moitze Eser V'Leisase, when there's an Eser V'Leisase, Imata Yochel Kaim Shnei Muta. You only say that essay is doiche Leisase if there's no alternative. But if you can be Mekayim both of them, then be Mekayim both, and don't say the essay doiche Leisase. In Lav, you have essay V'Yitcha Leisase. But over here, you have an alternative. You have somebody else do it. The Leka Acher, we're talking about Leka Acher. There's no other person to do it, and therefore, in such a case, where it's only the father there, and he's intending to do it, nevertheless, I would have said the Besara, it tells me that you do the meal at any bit. But Lamaisa, Abaya is Maida to Rava, that Maida Shimon b'psik reisha lo yomos, that it is also, I need the pasuk for Besara to tell me it's doiche, even if his intent is not explicitly to cut off the beharis. Omar ma yontav in doiche l'mizman b'lvat. The milah is doiche yontav doiche Shabbos, only a milah b'zman. A milah shalei b'zman is not doiche. Menane mili, how do we know this? Amar Chizkiya v'chein tanad b'Chizkiya, the pasuk says, Amar Kra, lo yisayir mimenu ad baiker. It says you should not leave over from the Korban Pesach until the morning. And it says, Anais mimenu ad baiker, beish tisreifa, whatever is left over to the morning. So it says again, the morning should be burnt in the fire. Saying Talmud loimer ad baiker, it doesn't have to say again till the morning. It could simply say whatever is left over should be burnt. Already says, don't leave it over to the morning. Ma Talmud loimer ad baiker, ma akosel litin loy baiker sheni l'srif also. It means another morning, not the first morning. The first morning is still yontif. It means burn it on the second morning, the morning after Yontiv and Chol Hamoed, but not on Yontiv. So you see that something of Chol is not done on Shabbos. Similarly, the mitzvah of Milah is something that is negayas of Chol. It's during the weekday. It's not a specific Shabbos dika mitzvah, Yontiv dika mitzvah. It's not deicha the mitzvah of, it's not deicha Shabbos, the Yisur Shabbos and Yontiv. It's dafka when we have a limud on Milah Bizmana, which is deicha when the Zman of the Milah falls out on Shabbos. But the Milah Shalei Bizmana is not deicha. Omar by Omar Kra, different limud, oil of Shabbos b'Shabbat, you burn the korban, the oil of Shabbos on Shabbos. V'loy oil is chol b'Shabbos, but the korban of Erev Shabbos, v'loy oil is chol b'Yontiv, and the korban of chol on Erev Yontiv is, you don't burn it on Yontiv. The korban of Erev Shabbos, you don't burn it, when you're makriv on Erev Shabbos, you don't burn it on, even though normally you can burn on the nighttime, but you don't burn it on Shabbos. You don't burn the korban of Erev Yontiv on Yontiv. Again, you see the same principle that something which is a mitzvah of chol is not done on Shabbos. So to Milah, only a Milah Bizmana is doich Shabbos and Yontiv, but not a Milah Shalei Bizmana, which is a mitzvah that is a mitzvah b'mei chol. Rava Omar, he says a different pasuk, Omar Kro, hu levadoye asalachem. Only what is done for needed for Eichel Nefesh is done on Yontiv. You can perform on Yontiv. Those malachos you can do on Yontiv. Hu v'loy machshir, it's who? It's the Eichel Nefesh itself, and not the machshir Eichel Nefesh. Not what's needed. You can't make the pots or make the kalim. That can't be done. Levadoye v'loy milah shalei b'zman. And Lavadoi, only it, but not Milah Shalei B'Zman. Ta'asim a Kal V'Chomer, because you would have learned it out from a Kal V'Chomer like we learned before. That you would say that Madach Tzaras is Deicha the Avoida. You don't cut off the Tzaras in order to the Avoid. And Avoid is Deicha Shabbos. So you see that Tzaras is more Chomer than Shabbos. Milah is Deicha Tzaras. So certainly you'd say Milah is Deicha Shabbos. Kamash Milan. Milah Shalei B'Zman is not Deicha Yontiv and it's not Deicha Shabbos. Ravashi Omar Shabbosan. Ravashi says, it says by Yontiv, it says Shabbosan. Therefore, Esehu, V'havele Yontiv, Eseh v'lo Yisaseh, V'ein Eseh, Deiches lo Yisaseh v'Eseh. It says Shabbosan by Yontiv. So therefore, if a person does a malacha on Yontiv or Shabbos, in addition to being mevatel, being oived alav, he's being mevatel an Eseh. The essay, therefore, of Milah cannot be doicha Shabbos or Yontiv, where there is an essay and a lois haseh. There's both an essay and a lois haseh. Now, when it's Milah Bizmana, we have a special limud, we have a special Gzeres HaKosov that tells me that it's b'yayim afilu b'Shabbos. However, when Shalei Bizmana, the essay Milah cannot be doicha. Klal Amar Rabbi Kiva, Omar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, halacha Rabbi Kiva. That the halacha is like Rabbi Kiva that machshirim are not doicha Shabbos. The machshirim mitzvah are not doicha Shabbos. Utzana navi gabi Pesach hi gavna klal amar Rabbi Akiva kol malacha she'efshel ha'asaysa me'erev Shabbos eino doicha Shabbos. That if some malacha that could have been done erev Shabbos, so he could have done it legabi Pesach, he could have done something before Pesach. So the machshirim, they're not doicha. But shchita, she'eshel ha'asayis me'erev Shabbos, deichas Shabbos. But shchita, you can't check the korban if Yud Nisan falls out on Shabbos. You can't check it the day before. It has to be checked on Yud. So that cannot be done before Shabbos. So it's deichas Shabbos. But other things that could have been done beforehand, then it's not deichas Shabbos. So the machshirim for the korban Pesach is not deicha. And v'amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, halacha Rabbi Kiva. And he said, that's the halacha. The halacha is like Rabbi Kiva, that we say that it's not doicha, machshir on doicha, even if it means that you won't be able to do the korban Pesach. And you have to tell me in both cases, both by Milah and by korban Pesach, that the halacha is like Rabbi Kiva and not like Rabbi Eliezer, that the halacha is machshir on doicha. The Ashmin Gabe Milah, if you only said by Milah, Hasamu, the Machshirin, Efshel Asais Mes Haloi Dochu Shabbos, the Leke Kores. If it only told me by Mila, I would think over there we say the Machshir, not Deicha Shabbos, and therefore you're not Mekayim the mitzvah of Mila if it means being Mechal Shabbos, because there's no cars. Not doing the Mila on the 8th day, there's no cars. The father is not Chayiv Kares for not mauling his son. He is Chayiv Kares if he himself does not have a Mila by the end of his life. So therefore, I would think Dafka over there where there's no Kares, that's where the Halach is Rabbi Kiva. Aval Pesach, Dike Kares, but for the non-performance of the Korban Pesach, there's Kares. Emal Deicha Shabbos. I might think you'd be Deicha Shabbos. V'yashmin Gabi Pesach. If it said by Pesach, I would say Mishum Dulay Nikros Aleh Shlosh Esrei Brisis. I would think it's Dafka by the Korban Pesach. It's not as Chomer, I would say, as by Milah. By Milah, we see the Torah gives it a special significance. It says 13 times bris. There's Nikros 13 brises. They came into a bris 13 with 13 mentioned. Aval Milah. So by Milah, the Nechus HaShleishes Brises, Emelit Shabbos. By Pesach, it doesn't. It's Loin Nechus HaShleishes Brises. Maybe over there, Dafka over there, it's not Deicha Shabbos, but maybe by Milah the Machshirim would be. Therefore, Tzricha has to tell me in both cases that the halacha is like Rabbi Kiva and the Machshir are not Deicha Shabbos. Based on that, Taisa says, therefore we understand why it says, when we said that halacha Rabbi Yehuda, it says the halacha is like Rabbi Kiva. And they said Lagabi the Korban Pesach, that Amar Yehuda Rabba, and we don't say Helpus Mashiach, because normally we say in these types of cases, when the Gemara doesn't say Psaka Halacha, where it's not Negeya, and over here it's not Negeya, it's only Negeya the Mashiach when we have the Beis HaMikdash. But Taisa says no, the reason is because it wants to strengthen that the Halacha is like Lagabi Mila also, that we say the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, so we mention it by Pesach, we mention it by Milah to show that conclusively the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, that Machshirin are not Deicha Shabbos.